Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're tackling something absolutely critical, the medical realities of substance withdrawal. If you're here, maybe you or someone you love is ready to take that massive, incredibly brave first step toward getting clean. But honestly, the path you choose to get there matters a lot. We're going to cut through the noise and break down the actual science, the real risks, and the medical protocols around detox. No myths, just the clinical facts that could literally save a life.
So, is detoxing at home actually dangerous? It's probably the #1 question people ask when they even start thinking about recovery. It's likely exactly why you clicked on this explainer. You're wondering, can I just tough this out on my own couch? We're answering that right out of the gate. The short answer? It depends. But as we unpack the clinical evidence today, you're going to see crystal clear why taking the DIY route is an incredibly high-stakes gamble.
All right, let's get into it. At-home detox, you'll hear it called going cold turkey or DIY detox, is basically just stopping substance use abruptly without any professional medical oversight. And hey, I totally get why this sounds appealing. It seems simple, right? No facilities, no paperwork, and it feels way more private. That need for privacy is completely natural. But, and this is a massive but, this method carries huge, often wildly underestimated medical risks. Your body has physically adapted to a substance, and yanking it away suddenly, it sends your entire system into absolute shock.
When that shock hits, especially with alcohol, opioids, or benzos, the physical reactions can be frankly violent. We're talking about grand mal seizures, which can easily be fatal without a doctor right there. We see severe cardiac complications. Your heart rate and blood pressure can spike so fast they trigger a stroke or a heart attack. Then there's massive dehydration and electrolyte imbalance from nonstop vomiting. And that last one is terrifying, aspiration pneumonia. That's when someone vomits while unconscious and literally chokes on it. Guys, I'm really not trying to use scare tactics here. These are strictly documented medical realities of quitting without help.
Let's zoom in on one specific, terrifying complication tied to alcohol withdrawal, delirium tremens, or the DTs. This isn't just getting the shakes, it is a severe physiological reaction, deep confusion, a racing heart, a high fever, and really terrifying hallucinations. Think about it, your central nervous system has been depressed by heavy alcohol use for a long time. Take that depressant away suddenly, and the brain basically misfires in this massive systemic explosion. It isn't just feeling sick, it's a full-blown medical emergency.
And here's a number that really puts that emergency into perspective. 37%. Just let that sink in for a second. 37%. That is the mortality rate for untreated delirium tremens. More than 1 in 3 people who develop this and don't get professional medical intervention will not survive. It's a staggering wake-up call about the stakes we're talking about. Trying to manage this level of biological chaos in your bedroom, it's just not possible.
But the physical stuff is really only half the story. The psychological risks of going it alone are just as intense. We see crushing, severe depression and suicidal ideation, which is incredibly dangerous during stimulant and opioid withdrawal because your brain chemistry is basically plummeting. People suffer from panic attacks so severe they actually mimic heart attacks, plus intense hallucinations and psychosis. The mental anguish is just off the charts, and without a psychiatric support system, a person is stuck totally alone in their own mind trying to navigate that terror.
Now, beyond the immediate symptoms, there is this hidden, deadly threat that people almost always overlook: relapsing right in the middle of an unsupervised withdrawal. Imagine the intense pain, the sickness, the total mental anguish we just talked about, all hitting you at once. The craving to just make it stop becomes overwhelming. When someone tries to detox alone, they almost inevitably hit a breaking point where giving in feels like the literal only way to survive the physical pain.
And here's exactly why that mid-detox relapse is so incredibly lethal. It's a deadly equation. Once you stop using, your tolerance drops rapidly. We're talking a huge drop in just a matter of days. So if a person hits that breaking point, relapses, and takes their usual dose, the exact same amount they used to handle fine, their newly sensitized body just cannot process it. The risk of accidental overdose skyrockets. A standard slip-up turns fatal, simply because their biological baseline shifted without them even realizing it.
So let's lay these two paths out side by side. On the one side, at-home detox. It's abrupt, it's completely unmonitored, packed with life-threatening complications, and carries a huge risk of fatal relapse. On the flip side, medical detox. This is medication-assisted, features 24/7 monitoring, focuses on keeping you comfortable, and offers constant clinical oversight. The contrast is just night and day. You're basically trading the nightmare and isolation of a DIY attempt for a proven, reliable safety net.
So, what does this safety net actually look like? Well, medical detox is a highly structured, clinically supervised process that happens in a licensed facility. The entire goal here is to safely manage your withdrawal, actively stop those scary complications we talked about, and prep you for the next steps in treatment. It's a system literally built from the ground up to protect your health in a way that no at-home attempt ever could. Let's break down the actual protections you get. First off, you've got round-the-clock monitoring of your vital signs. Heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen, if anything spikes, they catch it instantly. Second is medication management. Doctors use specific medications to actively dial down your symptoms, like benzos for alcohol withdrawal or buprenorphine for opioids. Third, you're getting nutritional support and IV fluids to fight off the severe dehydration. And finally, real mental health support to help you through the anxiety and the emotional toll of the whole process.
And what makes this so effective is how dynamic it is. In a professional facility, the medical staff aren't just guessing how you feel. They are constantly measuring your withdrawal severity using standardized tools like the CIWAR scale for alcohol. This means they can adjust your meds and your care instantly, right there in real time. If your symptoms start getting worse, your treatment scales up immediately to match it. That's the secret to keeping you comfortable and safely away from the danger zone. Now, I want to pivot for a second. While medical detox is a good idea for anyone quitting, for some people it is an absolute, non-negotiable medical necessity. I want you to listen closely to these next points. Think about whether you or the person you're trying to help fall into any of these categories.
These are the red flags that absolutely demand professional supervision. A long history of heavy alcohol or benzo use. Anyone who has ever had a seizure or the DTs during a past withdrawal. Folks dealing with co-occurring conditions, things like heart disease, liver issues, or diabetes, because withdrawal puts massive stress on those organs. Also, polysubstance use, which means using multiple substances at once. That makes withdrawal wildly unpredictable. And finally, if you've tried and failed an at-home detox before, listen, if you check even one of these boxes, a DIY detox is totally off the table. You need professional help. Full stop.
And that brings us to a place that actually provides this exact level of care. iRely Recovery is an incredible facility out in Los Angeles that specializes in evidence-based, medically supervised detox. They've got this supportive residential environment fully equipped with the clinical teams needed to handle complex withdrawals, whether it's alcohol, opioids, benzos, stimulants, or a mix of everything. They essentially take the chaotic, highly dangerous experience of withdrawal and place it into a controlled, incredibly compassionate setting.
Their clinical protocol is super structured. Step 1 is a comprehensive intake assessment, so they know exactly what your medical risks are and can build a plan just for you. Step 2 is that 24/7 clinical monitoring by experienced addiction medicine staff. Step 3 brings in the medication and integrated mental health support to get you through safely. And Step 4 is seamless transition planning, moving you smoothly from detox right into residential treatment or outpatient care. It takes this huge, scary prospect of quitting and turns it into an organized, totally doable process.
I really want to pause on this because it's the absolute core of what we're talking about today. Choosing professional medical supervision is the single most important safety decision you can make. Deciding to enter a facility to detox, that is not a sign of weakness. It's not a defeat. It is a brave, empowering, and incredibly logical choice. You're making a calculated decision to protect your body and your mind so you can actually survive the withdrawal and get to the recovery part.
If you are ready to take that safer path right now, the resources are right in front of you. You can call iRely Recovery at 818-873-7076 or just head over to iRelyRecovery.com/contact us for a totally confidential assessment. And a really important detail here, their admissions coordinators are available around the clock. They'll answer your questions, check your insurance, and they can even coordinate a same-day admission if you need help right this second. The lifeline is there, 24/7 whenever you're ready.
We've looked at the science, the massive physical shock to the body, the sneaky, lethal danger of relapse, and the safety net that medical detox actually provides. The facts are all on the table. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought for yourself or your loved one. Now that you know the true medical realities, the literal life or death stakes of withdrawal, will you make the choice that ensures you survive to see recovery? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe, stay informed, and please make the choice that protects your future.